Opening with the queen's pawn controls the center and usually leads to a more positional development of the pieces. The Indian game begins by controlling the important e4 square with the knight, rather than a pawn. c4 builds a strong center by controlling the important d5 square and creates a square for the knight to come to c3 without blocking the c-pawn. The king's Indian defense prepares to develop the bishop to g7, allowing white to build up a strong center, which black will later try to undermine. Knight c3 prepares the e2-e4 pawn push and helps control the d5 square. Bishop g7 puts the bishop on the long diagonal in a move called a fianchetto. e4 takes full control of the center. d6 controls the e5 square and allows the light-squared bishop to develop. f3 supports the e4 pawn and prepares to develop the dark-squared bishop to e3 and the queen to d2, a common attacking setup versus fianchetto systems. Castling gets the king out of the center and activates the rook. Bishop g5 develops the bishop and immediately attacks the knight on f6. a6 controls the b5 square. The queen joins the board early, building a strong opening for white. This strikes at the center to fight for space. This attacks white's pawn chain. This wins a pawn. The opening development is progressing well. Right on target. This overlooks an opportunity to develop a knight off its starting square. This allows the opponent to create a passed pawn. White's recapture simultaneously activates another piece. This offers to exchange pieces of equal value. White should not forget about castling. This threatens to eventually win a pawn. White develops the knight and attacks the center. This threatens to tactically win a pawn. This is not the right idea. This overlooks an opportunity to centralize a knight so it controls more squares. This prevents the opponent from being able to win material through a tactic. This threatens to tactically win a pawn. This overlooks an opportunity to add a defender to a vulnerable pawn. This threatens to tactically win a pawn. This stops the opponent from being able to tactically win a pawn. This allows the opponent to eventually win material. This wins material. A very strong play. This is the only good move. Takes back. Recaptures. This threatens to play checkmate. There was only one good move there, and white did not spend enough time trying to find it. This blocks the check from an opposing rook. This is the only good move. This moves the bishop to safety. The bishop is kicked by a pawn and must now move or be captured. There was only one good move there, and white did not spend enough time trying to find it. This threatens to play checkmate. This prevents the opponent from being able to play checkmate. This is a fair move. This threatens to force eventual checkmate. This weakens black's pawn structure. This kicks a knight. This blocks white's pawn. A solid choice. This is the strongest option. The game is still close to equal, but white lost their advantage. The bishop finds a new active square. One of the best moves. The game was close to balanced, but now black is worse. This misses an opportunity to offer an equal trade of pieces. This is the only good move. This defends a pawn that was under attack and had no defenders. This permits the opponent to win a tempo by threatening a queen. That's fine. This permits the opponent to win a pawn through an eventual fork. This overlooks an opportunity to win a pawn through an eventual fork. The knight finds a new active square. This misses an opportunity to eventually win a pawn. This leads to losing a pawn. This is the way to win a pawn. This threatens to win a queen through a fork. That was a free pawn. This is the only move that works. This offers an equal trade of pieces. This forces the opponent to isolate a pawn. Takes back. This is the start of the endgame, and white is equal. A very strong play. This allows the opponent to win a pawn through a fork. Black will be winning a pawn with that fork. This defends the attacked pawn. That pawn was free for the taking. This activates the king in the endgame by getting it off of the back rank. This blocks white's pawn. This overlooks a better way to evade the check from the opposing knight. Only one move worked there, and this wasn't it. This allows the opponent to take an open file with a rook. This overlooks an opportunity to take an open file with a rook. This move puts the bishop on a safer square. This threatens to eventually win a pawn. This is the only move that works, putting the piece on a blockade square. This steps away from the checking knight. The passed pawn moves towards its goal. That's not a mistake, but it's not the best move either. This takes an outpost, a square where the knight cannot be kicked out by a pawn. Very precise. This leaves a pawn without defenders. That was a free pawn. This is the only good move. This evades the check from the knight. This permits the opponent to set up a blockade. This misses an opportunity to set up a blockade, applying pressure to black's pawn chain. This is the only move that works. The pawn is now passed because it can no longer be challenged by pawns as it tries to promote. The game was close to equal, but now black has the advantage. This overlooks an opportunity to eventually win a pawn. There was only one good move there, and white did not spend enough time trying to find it. This missed an opportunity to punish a mistake. This is the only move that works. Black finds a nice tactic with just seconds to spare, winning a pawn. This moves the rook to safety. Now white can't stop black from winning a pawn if they make the right moves. Right on target. This misses an opportunity to capture a free pawn. This is a fair move. This overlooks an opportunity to capture a free pawn. There were worse moves, but also something much better. This move puts the knight on a safer square. The game was close to balanced, but now black has a winning position. That pawn was free for the taking. This threatens to tactically win a pawn. This is the only good move. This defends a knight that was under attack and had no defenders. This moves the knight to safety. This overlooks an opportunity to capture the checking knight. This missed a chance to equalize the game. This loses a knight. That knight was free for the taking. Pushing a passed pawn. That's fine. That's not a mistake, but it's not the best move either. A solid choice. This is an equal trade. White still has the better position, but they lost their winning advantage. This is a fair move. This threatens to tactically win a pawn. This overlooks an opportunity to add a defender to a vulnerable bishop. This gives away a free knight. This allows the opponent to win a bishop through a fork. This overlooks an opportunity to capture a free knight. White finds a nice tactic with just seconds to spare, winning a bishop. This steps away from the checking knight. That was a free bishop. The pawn reaches the back rank and promotes to a queen. This removes a queen that put the king in check. One of the best moves. A very strong play. A solid choice. This is the strongest option. The passed pawn moves towards its goal. One of the best moves. A very strong play. Very precise. A solid choice. One of the best moves. Right on. A very strong play. A solid choice. One of the best moves. This activates the king in the endgame by getting it off of the back rank. That was a free pawn. This steps away from the checking rook. That pawn was free for the taking. A very strong play. Placing a rook behind an opposing passed pawn can inhibit the pawn's ability to promote. A solid choice. This is a nice tactic found in time trouble, winning a pawn. This steps away from the checking rook. That pawn was free for the taking. This is the strongest option. One of the best moves. This is not the right idea. There were worse moves, but also something much better. This is not the right idea. There were worse moves, but also something much better. Very precise. Right on target. This misses a better way to evade the check from the opposing rook. This is not the right idea.